this the other day, but I read this short blog post by um, one of the authors I like to follow on was on LinkedIn, and he he'd been working with a lot of people, done a lot of different things over his career, and he finally figured out. He goes, okay, I figured out the type of people I like to work with, and they have three characteristics, three qualities. One, they see the big picture. Two, they want to get stuff done, and three, they want to have fun doing it. And and I thought to my gosh, that does encapsulate it completely right there. See the big picture, your work is meaningful, get stuff done because it's no fun if you're not accomplishing something, and got to have some fun. Right, Kesra?
Yep, absolutely. I agree with that.
Got to have some
Sounds
fun.
like the winning formula to me.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
No, so we have a monthly asset management leadership team meeting where we have like 5 members of the ELT that are participants in this. And our group, obviously, the Enterprise Asset Management Group, creates all the presentations. So in January, I started this. The very first thing we do is I put up a trivia master, right? So I put up a trivia question and I say, everyone in the chat window, put in your answers. And so later, halfway through, then I give them the answer and I tell them who won the first correct answer, right? And it's amazing. You've got everyone's jumping at typing in the answer, including the ELT team members, right? So we have the CFO in there trying to get the answer in fast. And last month, our CIO actually won the Trivia Master. I mean, we don't give them anything. They just acknowledgement. So, and then this month I've got a big star. So Jeff Small was the last, so every month we so it just kind of really makes it fun. But then you've got the people, director managers in there. They got people, that are competing with the ELT for this Trivia Master of the Month. And it's great. Like, it's so much fun.
You've got some competitive executives.
Yeah. There's a few competitive people.
That surprised me. I thought, the ELT aren't even going to bother, but they participate. They're in there and they're trying to get the answers right. And it's just fun quizzes, right? Like the first thing was about New Year resolutions, and last month there was a question on the Super Bowl. This month I put in a question about St. Patrick's Day. So kind of.
There you go.
Yeah, it's fun. They're all laughing. They're like, only Kazar could have pulled this one off.
We may have you do that for our next meeting.
Yeah, I could do that.
Excellent.
Definitely.
Well, speaking of getting stuff done, why don't we go ahead and get started today? Thank you all very much for being here, and thank you for a couple minutes of fun here. I really do appreciate it because. And I'll just mention this real quickly because perhaps it'll help you or someone that you know that there's this thing, from what I understand, there's this thing called an anniversary effect. And we really are in the 1-year anniversary now of today is the day that the global pandemic was declared by the World Health Organization. It's for a lot of us, this might have been our very first week, switching to all from home, which was really almost unthinkable, frankly, 3 or 4 weeks before that. I mean, to think that a public sector utility would send everybody home and no one would be in the office, it's just almost unthinkable. So as we're, be kind to yourself. Think if you find yourself kind of being overly anxious or a little frustrated or something, you may be going through this anniversary effect because it's a true thing, and a year is a long time to make it through all of this. But I got to say, this what we're going to present today is a demonstration of what you can get done working virtually like this. And so there's been some great work done by the core team. We're looking forward to getting your input today. So we're going to do this via a Mentimeter to give us some feedback on the questions that we've come up with. And this group got the benefit of Monday. The workforce group previewed it for us, gave us some great comments. And we then, most of the core team was able to meet yesterday, and we improved those. Boy, we spent almost 2 hours, I think. It was good, a good hour and a half for sure. In improving the questions, great discussion. I wish you all could have been there to hear some of the discussion about what are we trying to draw out? What are we trying to figure out? And how can we really make this work well for folks? But you might remember we had about 400 total comments on the maturity model for organizational culture and workforce. That was collapsed into 45 categories, which then was collapsed into 20 and then into 8 sections, placed into 8 sections. And now we've got this assessment model that we're going to show you. I think this is a version, we'll probably call it a 2.0 or maybe a 2.1 that you'll get a chance to review today. So we're a small enough group that you could probably raise hand and we could discuss it. But we could also, if you have a comment or an idea for improvement or a question, you can also put it into the chat. And I think, Scott, you normally monitor the chat and the hands, and can I ask you to do that today for us?
Happy to.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks, I appreciate that. All right, are we ready to start? All right, let's go for it. So first category, organizational strategy and performance. So take a look.
Sorry, are we using the Mentimeter thing? Because I need the code.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it was in the chat. Did you see the link and the number? So the code is 94220202. So 94220202. And you should see 4 questions on your screen. All right, everybody there? All right, good deal.
Jessica says her Menti shows blank questions.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, the questions are actually shown on the power. If I'm sharing a screen, so the questions are on the PowerPoint slide, and the response to that people will how people will vote will be shown on the on this window where I'm showing the immediate results from the Mentimeter. So you look at the right for the questions, and then left. And then you look at your separate window. This is results, and you will have a separate in a separate window where you're gonna vote.
Hey, Mark, just a suggestion. If people would also, if you have a comment on a question, then if you just put in like Q1 or Q2 or Q3, then we'll be able to track it to the question.
Yeah, thank you very much, because we had some people who, as they were thinking and they thought it through a little bit more, they would add a comment, but it was to a question we had already covered. And so it was a little bit of difficulty sorting through what things applied to what. So yeah, so you would just like put Q1, Q2, just to let us know which question you're making a comment about.
And then every time we move to the next one, I'll put the title in there so we know they're kept together.
Very good. So great. So organizational strategy and performance, our level 5 maturity statements. Our strategic planning is essential and is well integrated with other key organizational processes. Our question, our level 1 question on this is overall performance indicators and targets for the organization are transparent, broadly communicated, and understood throughout the organization. With regard to organizational strategy and performance measurement, sorry.
So you're going to wait till they.
Oh, you're right. I'll wait till, and if you want to answer right away, you can on all the questions, and you're getting it and you're ready to go. Go ahead and you can submit your responses on the Mentimeter anytime you like. Sorry, I get rolling sometimes, and I just keep moving. All right, let's do a level 5 maturity statement for questions 2 and 3. Is the organizational strategy and performance measurement are well aligned? And the questions we have on this one are: my own performance indicators and targets are well defined and understood. For example, I know how my work will be evaluated. I like that. I like that statement. The third question is, know how. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
So, Mark, you might wait for people to enter.
Yeah, some comments
on 2, and then
proceed to 3. Yeah, thank you.
Wait 30 seconds or something, and then we could go ahead.
Sorry,
Charlie, go ahead.
I hate to burst your bubble, but people are so fast that they're already answering. They're reading questions and answering. So
Yeah.
5 of them
Yeah.
have already rated the questions, all 4 questions.
And you know, when I was in grad school, I was a DJ at the college radio station, and you know, there was nothing worse than dead air. So you're going to have me just continuously talking. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You're just being helpful. That's all.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that because, yeah, dead air was the one thing they told you. Don't have dead air. Don't have dead air.
Looks like you're on 3 then, Mark.
Yeah. So let's move to 3. I know how my work relates to the organization's goals. Another great question. I like that question.
So just to let you know, Mark, they tell you the exact opposite in research interviewing, that dead air can be your best friend because the other person will fill it for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, so I had to unlearn all of that as a supervisor. It's like, stop telling them the answer. I know you got here because you're a good problem solver, but stop telling them the answer. Help them figure out the answer. Yeah, and there can be some long pauses when you're doing interviews too.
Yeah, so whenever you feel, you can let me know and we can go to the
next slide. So the last question is, and it's on the maturity statement of the organization focuses on community needs as expressed by community members. And that is the actual question, and we're just going to have people rate that on a 5-point scale. And so I'm not responding to these, but so Chella, how many responses do we have?
We have 5 responses. So my suspicion is that people who are working on, 6 responses right now. And my suspicion is that people who worked, on the core team may not be voting. So I think that 6 will probably be the full vote. Is there anybody who hasn't cast their vote yet and would like to? Okay, so I would guess that.
You could probably go to the next set.
Okay.
All right, let's moving on to question 5.
Okay. Oh, we have 7. Okay, so this is going to be the next question. Let me just go there. Give me just a second.
Yeah, no hurry. So I like light bulb jokes. Speaking of fun.
Yeah.
So if you have a good light bulb joke, please send it to me. But one of my favorites is when we talk about change. And then it's how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb?
Yeah.
Only one, but the light bulb has to really want to change.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready?
Question, the next question 5 then?
Question 5, under the maturity statement, which is employees in the organization seek to continuously improve on equity, diversity, and inclusion, both inside the organization and in their services to the community. So our question, that's a great statement too. Number 5, which is leadership walks the talk regarding fairness and inclusion. Okay, we've got a comment, double-barreled question. We were trying to get out of the too many compound questions. That was something we were working on yesterday.
So yeah, and sometimes the maturity statement would be a broader, overarching, kind of statement that incorporated all the past input, but we're focusing more on the question itself.
Yep. Yep.
And Jennifer, are you saying it's double-barreled because fairness and inclusion are 2 different things?
No, because it's talking about within the organization and within the community. So within the organization, we may suck, but within the community, we may be doing a great job. So there are cases where you might see that.
Yeah, so we talked about this one, and the question itself only talks about, well, I guess it's open to leadership walks the talk, because we have that earlier question that says that the organization cares about community values, but do you feel like that doesn't capture it when you look at those two questions together?
Yeah, because I think it really needs to highlight where the problems are. So like we're starting internally because we've noticed that's where the biggest problems are. And we're doing an okay job externally, but we believe that the work and capacity building internally is going to help us do a better job externally. But if it was flipped, then we would focus more on how are we showing up in the community and how are we, doing in our work externally, if that makes sense. So maybe
Yeah,
it might
that
be
does.
two separate questions or, statements.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, the conversation that we've been having, I don't know if we explained it in this meeting, but the idea is to get a reasonable number of questions at this higher level. And then what we're thinking is if people rated this leadership walks the talk low, then there would be subsequent questions and they would distinguish exactly what you're saying. So one would say leadership walks the talk internally, and another would say leadership walks the talk externally with the community. And then you would find out which one was the problem in your organization after they've already rated this one low.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Or
Okay.
Jennifer, yeah, it could be that you wanted to focus on organizational values or something where you might deal with level 2 as well as level 1 if that's what you were focusing on. It's just different ways to approach this, but we're looking at adding level 2 questions that support the ones that you already see.
That's helpful to dig deeper. Yeah, because sometimes people don't know what walks the talk means. Yep. Okay. I like it.
So
yeah, and we were also told by some of the survey experts that we should only have like 12 to 15 questions, or I think that's even more than they said. And that was really the problem here, that we have a lot more questions we want to ask. And so we thought a good way to approach that would be have as few as possible at the beginning and then drill down once you see the answers to those.
Yeah, I've had a Target does these survey things through Cartwheel app. Oh, you can win this prize. After like question 10, I'm over it and I log out. So definitely see that.
So Jessica, your comment is about continuous improvement in equity. So do you think that needs to be first, this is sort of like the first level of questions, or we started with 400, things, and then we were told, people said, okay, it's realistic to expect 12 to 15 questions to be answered. So we've gone through all these cycles. So this is sort of like just to diagnostic thing, blood pressure, and temperature and stuff like that, and then to go into more steps later. How would you propose? Do you think we can? How can we address your continuous improvement concern?
I'm not sure. Thanks for asking. I'm not sure it's addressable given the need to streamline. Maybe it's enough to highlight that that this question won't get at continuous improvement on equity necessarily.
That is correct. I think, and the other thing, one of the dominant questions was that if this is going to go to a broader, a bigger group, that we have to be careful about the language we use. So, and to use maybe fewer words that are used at the headquarters and more of the words that are used in the field and stuff like that.
Yeah. Let less management speak. Yeah.
And Alice, this might be an example of a level 2 question that could be asked also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Mark, do we go to the next one?
Yep. Question 6. My organization follows its core values, and that's a statement, would be then rated on a 5-point scale. Completely agree, completely disagree. I forget what the ones are in between, but something like that.
We have one vote that's outstanding that we're still asking for. By the way, Sherry, if you'd like, the www.menti.com, and the code is 94220202, as it's shown on the left side here, if you want to go in.
Okay, thank you.
To Paul.
Yeah, Mark, 6 people have answered all of them, I think,
All right.
so you might want to
Up there,
go
okay.
ahead and go.
So our next one is, next area is responsibility and accountability. Level 5 maturity statement. Structured decision processes are clearly tied to metrics, performance data, and resource allocations. Our question to get to that maturity statement is, performance metrics influence decision-making in my organization.
Yeah, I'm wondering on the graph that you're looking at, if that reflects, you know, the distribution a little bit. So you could, it must. Like you have, you know, those shaded, that shaded area, you know, represents, you know, the band, you know, of answers. So on question 6, it looks like there's a wider distribution, and on, but the others are a little more concentrated than that one.
Well, you can see that it shows just a number of votes. So there was one vote on question 6 that was basically a 2, which means not very good.
Right, right. So
if somebody has a concern about it, maybe you know that it's the wrong question. And if whatever it is, we'd like to know what the concern is so we can fix it. So
yeah, because it looks like, yeah, question 6, you know, has a, you know, everywhere from 1 to, you know, 1 to 5. So if people have comments on question 6, that might be appropriate.
So I'll jump in since you called me out, Cello and Scott. So that was I put number 2, or rated it a number 2. And I guess it's not necessarily that the question is bad, but I find that a 5-point scale type question is still very ambiguous, may not give the information that you're looking for. And so I feel like there's a lot of interpretation in that. So I'm not a big 5-point scale question person. So that's just my take on it. That doesn't necessarily mean you all can't get out of it, but I tend to ever shy away from those types of questions because I feel like that people just don't get the right information out of those questions.
So what is the alternative that you like better then?
I like asking more direct questions, I guess. I don't have a specific instance in this case per se of a question, you know, ready for you, but you know, I feel like these are probably more associated. If you're concerned about this, like if you're trying to drill down on that, I would ask, like you referred to them as like 2nd level questions. I would start working my way down in those 2nd level questions to figure out what the issues were, as opposed to, you know.
So you want more specifics.
That's where I would. That's where I would go personally, because again, I just don't think it gives you what you're necessarily looking for. A bit, but that's just me.
Well, if you know, specifics are typically a little bit more narrowly focused, and if we have 12 to 15 questions that will reflect 400 comments, it is not easy to be specific. And the way it was envisioned is that this would be a trigger. And typically the Likert scale, the 5-point scale, is more about how people sometimes sort of, how do they feel about it? And what the research shows is that that's what really, drives how people see things, is the emotional and the subconscious kind of thing. So yes, it's kind of like the temperature. It tells you that there's an inflammation going on, but you don't really know unless you hear more. It is very general, because but it's just an indication on a higher level. So if you think about it and have suggestion on how to approve it, it'd be great. The advantage of the 5-point scale is it's commonly, I mean, I'm not sure what the alternative would be.
So Mike, these are kind of, you were talking about a qualitative gut feeling almost that you had, that this doesn't quite do it for you for a number of reasons. And these are qualitative, kind of assessments. But if you have a fairly good representation of input on this, and let's say that it comes out to a 2, in terms of that particular item, then, typically, then you would assemble an appropriate group if that was one of your low ranking areas, and you'd say, well, why is this the case? And you'd explore that further. And then we're looking at change management also as a way to say, well, what do we really want to achieve here, and how are we going to do it, and what does a change management process look like, to help us with that. So this isn't the end all. This is kind of a start, is another way to put it.
Yeah, no, that sounds fine. It kind of seems ironic that we're asking a 5-point question on what 5-point question, how I feel in 5-point questions. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. I appreciate it. I understand where you're coming from. That makes sense. So thank you for the explanation.
Okay. So these are the questions from employee engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can look at the questions. They're numbered on the right side, and then just punch in how you feel about them on Mentimeter. And Zonetta, it's www.menti.com, and the code you can, in your separate browser from Microsoft Teams, you can use, and the code is, when you go to that website, you enter code 94220202. I'll make it a little bigger so that you can see a little bit better if you'd like to join and vote.
So Mark?
So we're on employee engagement. I think most people are reading and answering, which is great. You see the questions that we have there to try to elicit responses in the area that the maturity state, to the point we were just discussing, to the area that the maturity statement speaks to. And I think what I take away from this initial survey is it gives you an idea where to start working on first, and it also gives you a thought of what things do we want to work on, right? And most organizations, I would guess, will have multiple areas where they say, well, our ratings aren't high enough here. Why our employees think that we don't follow our values, and because I've seen some results like that before, and then it provides you with an opportunity for some more exploration. Like for instance, at Clean Water Services, we've actually done some focus groups with people, with staff, and that got some really good information. Although you really want to be careful and have those well facilitated, because you can get to a bit of a group speak there.
Yeah, and Pat Boyle had a comment going back, I guess, on question 6 on the previous one, but we've definitely recorded that. And, the core group did discuss, different aspects of values that do they even know that they exist? And then if they exist, then, is the organization living, those values? So that's a good point.
Yes, Pat, we had a conversation. We originally had 2 questions. Do you know what the core values are? And then, are they being followed? And so we struggled again, trying to get to narrow to tighten up the number of questions.
Mark, it looks like 7 people have gotten through these questions. People are catching on.
Okay, great.
So we had 8 on the last question, so maybe just a few more. 8.
Give another minute here. So while we're waiting, did I? Are you all familiar with surrealist painters?
Yeah.
So how many surrealists does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know.
The fish.
It's a fish. Okay.
That's one of my favorites.
Okay. So we have 8 responses. Anybody still voting? Oh, we have 9.
I just finished.
Okay. So let me just do the magic here and jumping to this application.
I apologize for being late. I've got like 15 different meetings going on today. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
Glad you could join us.
All right. So is everything readable?
Yes.
Okay, good. So there it is, the questions and the 4 questions. All right, this is wrong because there's only
3.
3 indicated here, and there should be 4.
Yeah. We do have 17 questions, right?
Yeah, we have one more page. Yeah, we have 19.
Well, that's right. We have 19. Yeah, that's why we came to 19.
So how about this? If you can score the first 3 in Mentimeters, and the 4th one, just put it into the chat line. I apologize for this. I don't know how this happened. Well, I know how it happened. I goofed up. And you can, in the, what I would propose is if on question, and I didn't add the numbers here. I don't know what was going on. I had some.
So if you just put
17.
Yeah, so on 17, when you do that, if in the comments column, and if you put Q17, and then what your score would be.
Yeah, give it a number, 1 through 5.
Am I missing something? What are the questions for 14, 15, and 16?
Yeah, that's my mistake. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's so questions. So when you see the top one where you see teamwork and collaboration, then it says level 5 maturity statement. Then it says employees value and respect each other.
Oh, okay.
That's the statement that when you see in the question says 5-point scale, that's actually what we're going to put. That's the statement we're going to make, and then we're going to have people do the 5-point scale on that statement.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's a good question. And Mark still has to get a maturity level statement for that, that question. I had a note here. Dang it! I got to get that done today. And it's gonna about trust. Yeah, trust across the organization.
So we have some variation on question 15.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a concern about question 15 from several people. Members of my team are collaborating, working towards a common goal. So if you have suggestions for improvement, if you have suggestions for improvement on question 15, you can either put it in the chat box, window, or add it later. And I think we have 9 votes. Mark.
Okay, we're ready. Or do we want to pause for a second on 15 to see if there is anyone that has that thinks it's an okay question, not that great a question? Is there wouldn't hurt to get a couple thoughts on that, either in the chat box or raise a hand, and we'll be happy to have a quick discussion, because this is what we're hoping to do today, and so we're good on time.
I think that on that question, you just need to kind of define what you're talking about, a team. Yeah.
We had a lot of, because
Okay.
we discussed, that's a great point, because we discussed this a lot yesterday, and we're going to put together a glossary of
Okay.
what we mean when we say team, because I forget who it was, but someone said that team is like one of the highest organizational units at their utility, which is like, could be like hundreds of people on the team, right? I think what we're trying to get to at this is your work unit is what we're trying to get to when we say team in this context. It's a good.
I would assume that too, but like you said, it means something to different people. So I just think you just need to put that in parentheses, work unit, when you say team, and that will kind of clarify it. So.
Yeah, there's a similar question from Jessica, and
okay. And I apologize, because me coming in so late is not helping either.
Oh,
but
no.
I'm still going to ask questions so I can try to catch up. Sorry.
It's all right.
Thanks for your patience.
We had this exact discussion yesterday.
Okay.
So
This
Jessica,
is great, by the way, and I apologize.
Yeah. No.
Jessica, did you want to add to what Zanetta had to say?
No, I think we're on really similar tracks there.
Okay, good deal. So I think we're ready to move to the last couple questions.
Yes, give me just a second, please.
Has everybody voted on 17? I see 4 responses in the chat.
Oh, sorry. Well, if you've got 17 on this next Menti one, we could have people remember it. Go ahead and vote.
It's covered in the last slide.
Oh, no, it's not. I missed that question somehow. So so this is basically 18, 19, and 20. These are,
right.
we have 3 questions on the left and 3 questions on the left. Right.
Okay.
What I know what happened, because I dragged the wrong window. Anyway, I know what happened, but it is what it is.
No problem. So these are the 3 questions that you see on the screen in front of you. We'll fix it later.
The other one was 17A. This is 17B, 18 and 19.
17.1, 17.2.
Yeah, I'll have to. I think I got interrupted. I had some software trouble. So, for example, on these, I didn't add the numbers to the question on the right side. And I got derailed by something and just, I don't know what happened.
Probably that troublesome paying job got in the way.
Yeah. Yeah, they kept calling me to figure out how to spell my name on the pink slip.
We had a fun conversation yesterday on the first question on this sheet.
Yeah, that question got, some of these questions got changed 5 or 6 times as we went through different iterations. Always
But it
trying
was
to figure
really
out.
good because we had a workforce meeting where we got some feedback, and then the work group was able to get together in between that meeting and this meeting in order to improve it. And then your feedback is going to help us further refine it, and leading to workshops in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Okay, we have 8. One more person, and then Mark, there's just one more, just general poll, and
Sounds
then
good.
we'll be done. So we may be able to finish right on time.
The other reason I like light bulb jokes is they're easy to remember. There's this and there's that.
Yeah.
Question in the punchline.
But Mark, we do believe in safety, though. So, getting up on ladders and that kind of thing, having more than one person changing a light bulb is not a bad thing, right?
No, three points of contact, Scott. 3 points of contact on ladders. 3 points of contact.
So is there anybody who still wants to vote on this question? Okay.
All right, let's move to our last.
Last is not a question. It is really just a overall, when you look at this survey, things that, do you think that there's not enough questions, too many questions, questions are clear, they're not clear, and overall the survey makes sense or doesn't make sense? So you can select any of these things. You probably don't want to, mark not enough and too many, both of them, but the other ones.
I'm of two minds on this, Cello. I think there's too many. I think there's too few.
Yeah. And that will give us some guidance on in terms of how to how to I hope it gives you, yeah, it does. You can answer any of the, there's no limit on how many things you click on. So
if there aren't enough, or if you think it's just right, then it's not too few and it's not too many. And it's also taking into account that we're talking about additional level 2 questions that are going to be available to people if they feel a need to further specify under the level 1s.
And this presentation is going to be posted. So if anybody wants to go back, look at the slides and come back to us with suggestions, it'll be appreciated. And we're still working on it. I think during this meeting, probably Catering, made corrections for 2 new versions of the spreadsheet. So it's a little bit of a work in progress. I think that this is anybody still wants to vote on this one? Okay. So Mark, this was the last slide. Let me just stop sharing. Oh, we still have people voting. That's okay.
So Joe, is our workshop in 2 weeks from today?
I apologize. I have.
Yeah, well, that is the current plan, assuming that that basically the working team can take this feedback and work on it next week and get it in a form and then design the workshops so that we can have 2 slots for that. And it's going to be open to more than just these teams. it would be open more broadly. And we feel that, we've made a lot of progress. You have made a lot of progress, and that we'd be able to have 2 sessions, 2 choices for people to participate. Sometimes people actually participate in both because they love it so much, but so we'd have Monday and Thursday as workshop opportunities, and we haven't called them out as workshops, and we could go to, if we feel we'll have to decide, do we want an hour-long workshop or do we want an hour and a half, which we've done with some groups, on workshops.
Sounds
And
good.
Mike Stoll, thank you for the comment on the question 11. We also had discussions about that. It's a very good comment. When an org is ready to serve, what is the best way to maximize responses?
And
Okay.
Kesra, you may want to just comment on, demographics just a little bit, so that they understand that there are some choices there that we're making available, and we'll be dealing with that more in the workshop.
Yeah, so we are putting together some demographic sort of questions. It really will be a sort of a database of questions they can ask, so every organization can determine which questions they want to ask. Is it, yes, to some the age may be important to see what the young people feel versus people that have been around for a while, or some organizations may want to include a question on if they're large organizations, are you an executive leader, are you a director, are you a manager, are you, so whatever they feel that they need to glean, and then they can pick those demographics and put at the end of the survey. So, some people may even want to know how long you've been working for the organization, if you've been less than a year.
We found that to be a very helpful question, because it did differentiate responses quite a bit.
Right.
And Mark, you may want to comment, like in your world, you're thinking of 3 levels of in the organization, and that it's useful to see how, let's say, leadership responds versus employees as a whole, and that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. Because, with these things we've done in the past over the years, and there's always a difference between what management thinks is happening and what staff thinks is happening. Mm-hmm. And how their experience is. And so it's really good. That's actually one of the really good places to mine your data too, right? Where are managers and staff kind of aligned, and where are they're clear? Because if you're in management and it's clear that you think the organization's here and they say, no, we're not, then okay, well, how come we're not getting feedback about this? How come we don't know that? How come, what are we not doing, or what are we doing which is not closing this gap in terms of perception? And then there's just the whole thing, of course, of in what areas do you want to get better? Management and staff may agree, and you may not be very good at it. Right? Yeah, we all agree we kind of suck in this, right?
Alice, you had
so then
actually,
the question is, pardon?
Well, Jessica was mentioning confidentiality, which is an important underlying assumption here, is that the answers would be confidential. And then Alice, you had the same kind of comment.
I just want to quickly.
Yeah, Jessica added a couple of extra things too in there besides just confidentiality. It's prizes, good user experience, push from supervisors, promise to report out. So a bunch of different elements that you can add.
Excellent.
If you want to make surveys, don't get sure surveys are not filled out in the future, don't respond to the current one. Yeah,
Zonetta is absolutely right. That was my thought as well. The same, we had a guidance for business process modeling. So when we push out the survey, when we put the survey together, we'll have to have a document that says, this is level 1, this is, and this is level 1 questions and instructions on how to go about it. About anonymity, this actually, unfortunately, is not a joke. I was in a management meeting a few months ago, and we were discussing putting out a survey. And I said, well, it's really important that it's anonymous. And somebody said, well, we can't have it anonymous. People will write whatever they want. I swear to you, this is what a manager actually said.
They won't vote for the right candidate, Cello, if somebody's looking.
Yeah, this reminded me of the, meetings, it's sort of like living in a communist country, but it is what it is. So if there are any thoughts after this, just let us know. And I see that some folks have to run to other meetings already. Mark, did you want to close up and let me know when I can stop the recording?
Yeah, just great session today. Appreciate all of your comments. Please keep giving us the feedback as we can continue to develop it.